I think in some way when I started tattooing my face, I was just like, fuck it. I'm just going to be different because I am. I have Asperger's, and so does my father. The doctors said I would never be able to write with my hands. I would never be able to thread a needle. And clearly, since my parents never told me I couldn't do these things, I never thought I couldn't. So I actually work with my hands. That's how I make a living.
The shop is a lot different when he's here and when he's not. The energy changes when he's here, and I think everybody laughs a lot more.
He's a fucking weirdo. I mean, in the best way possible. He's been on a run of, drawing jokes for me and, leaving them in my station. This little otter in a spaceman suit. Otter space.
He understands enough about composition and the way things are put together that he can tell you with his drawing what he wants you to look at first. Now he's teaching other people how to do it.
When you're working, you're not just trying to copy everything. You can, for certain, but I think aesthetically you have to decide sometimes what's going to be more important. Copying it exactly or just getting down what needs to be said, and sometimes adding a little bit that's not being said already.
He's self-taught. That's pretty remarkable to just be totally self-taught. It's been interesting to watch him teach his apprentice and how that's pushed her work forward in a really short amount of time.
It's really fun to watch him as sort of a teacher to everybody, but then also, that apprentice role, that apprentice mentor role is real personal. And I get to sit right next to it and watch how he's doing it, and it's cool. It's fun to watch him passing on that information and watching her benefit from it.
In such a way that it creates a bow, and the bow points towards the direction. So theoretically, if you were having problems making this cheek go back, you would shade in such a way that the bow of your strokes did this number, and it doesn't have to be readily apparent, but your eye will be it'll move because of that.
I just reached out to him online, and it took 3 weeks for me to even reach out to him, just because I was terrified of to even approach this person.
She was a young artist, and she had a portfolio of pretty mediocre, junky stuff. She'll admit that. And I said, tell you what though, if you want to come back with a body of work that you think will impress me and be more tattoo related, we'll have another discussion.
In the back of my head, I'm thinking, is this guy just trying to kind of get rid of me by, sending me off with some work or whatever? But I did, and I came back, and
I forgot about her. 6 weeks went by. She came back, and she had a whole gigantic folder full of pretty cool stuff. It was more tattooable. It was less high school, I'm a creative person nonsense.
He said, let's do this, and it was really funny because I started crying.
And I remember it was fun. We were downstairs, and we were both crying because I was happy for her, and she was happy for her.
I actually paid money at other places to learn how to do this. I went to school for this, and I didn't learn nearly as much in my 2 years of being in art school as I did here. It's funny because we still joke about the first drawing that I did here, and it was absolute crap. It was terrible. I hate looking back at it now. Can we burn it?
This is bitching.
Hey!
He's like, huh?
It's so bad.
And the way in which I'm teaching you was the way in which I'm repaying those who have taught me. And I said, the only thing I want from you is you do really well, but when it comes time, you teach somebody else, That's the only way you can repay people who've helped you, is by helping others.
It was actually a client he had who was a lawyer, and she was very nice, and she brought in a Buddhist book for him, and it was, What Do You Do When Everything Falls Apart? Something like that. And he read it. I think that was kind of his first moment when he found this kind of light and this answer to his problems.
Buddhism has a place in my life that's very important. It helps me to open to devotion. It helps me to open to my belief that maybe I can help myself and help this world, in the way in which I have found my life easier to manage with less struggle, being able to impart that to others is, how could I not?
Without Ian, I would still be struggling with the same things I used to do. He started to show me a different way of looking at my life.
On some level, don't we have a duty to help each other? You know, or at least make our life meaningful on some level.
We can all sit and look at Ian's tattoos. They're right here. They're right in your face. He has to live with them forever. I don't think he has a problem with that. I think the problems that he used to have was how he was here. Ian 2 years ago is not the Ian now.
When I first met him, man, Ian had long hair, big old long beard, and he was probably like 280 pounds of muscle. You know, so he was all metal.
It wasn't just that Ian was taking steroids, but he would time his cycles so that he was at like maximum kill velocity for Slayer shows, you know, like he would time it all out to make sure that, and I got to stand behind him at some of those shows and watch him just, you know. I think there was a time when he felt like he was very challenged, had to prove himself. And he did. You know, he went out and crushed it.
I'd built this level of mystery. Back then I used to have like really long hair and muscles, and it was kind of like a jerk, tell it how it is person. And there was kind of like this mystery about who I really was and whatever. Like 2 years ago maybe, I'd say whatever popularity I had gotten, I was teaching at some of the major events, getting into any convention I wanted to be in. I was churning out 3 paintings a week, pandering to people who I knew exactly what they wanted to see, and they ate it up. And I was, you know, being applauded for this, that, and the other, and it's on the cover of magazines. Is that fame? I don't know. It felt like it.
I got to see when he would come in, he'd be painting all night because he would need something to post on Instagram so that he wouldn't lose followers. He would come in and he would put ice on his eyes because they were hurting from painting at nighttime, and he was exhausted. And he was just a vessel. He was there for everyone else's entertainment.
Fame is just as ephemeral and fickle as anything in this life. I think we don't realize, especially with social media, just how pervasive this idea is that we want people to like each and everything we do in life.
I'll be honest, man, there's days I hated him too. You know, we didn't always get along. We bumped heads too. There was this time, like a little over 3 years ago probably, he said something to me, and man, it lit me. I was heated for about a week.
He like slammed the microwave and was like, "Get the fuck out of my face." And I was like,
all these people tell me these stories, and everybody has something to say about how he used to be, and I can't see it. It sounds like a totally different person. I don't think that old Ian would have even gave my work a second look. I don't think that old Ian would have even considered taking me on, and so it's just so funny to hear these people tell me these stories, because I'm like, there's no way.
So it was a really big turnaround in my life when I realized that I could be loved even if I wasn't doing the things that I thought people loved me for. You know, I think we'd all be surprised at how much people love us for things other than what we think they love us for, you know? I remember walking into a tattoo shop in 2003 and getting a tattoo and just sort of asking the guy what it took to be a tattooer. And I tattooed my hands 3 days later, quit my job, and became a tattooer. And then shortly thereafter, tattooed part of my face and just kind of burned my bridges and realized there was no going back to a normal life, I would say.
People look at you different after that, even more. They want to see what it is, but they're intimidated to look too. We're mean people, I guess. That's what I hear. Tattooers are actually some of the nicest people you're going to meet. They really are. But we get a stereotype too. It's different.
I went to see a therapist. I sat down with her, and the first thing she said to me is, "I'm sorry, I just can't get past your face." And that was it.
I've noticed people do tend to judge. People do tend to think a certain way about me, and I think it's almost fun to be the opposite of what they expect.
You get a different quality of interaction. You always get people coming up to you, and she was like, well, you know, what happens when you get Alzheimer's and you look in the mirror and then you're scared of yourself?
Everybody has this perception of who we are, and that tattoos are scary and make you a bad person or whatever, but, you know, most people here are just here for the art. They're just here because they like doing it. They're here because they like impacting people's lives, and they like the relationships that they create with people.
It's the most challenging medium out there, because with oil, you know what you're getting yourself into. You know it's going to dry, it's going to take forever. You know that you're going to need all these other things, but with people, not only do you not know how their skin's going to be, but you also don't know how they're going to react to anything. It's like a canvas that talks back. It's like the worst thing and the best thing at the same time.
I'm so blessed to be able to put my art on people, and that people want my art on them. Oh my God, it's amazing.
I think art, if you can't not do it, it's probably not a genuine expression of anything internal, you know? If it's something you can just do, then you're just doing something. The thing is, people don't realize when you get heavily tattooed, you quit seeing the individual pieces, and it's just you. It's like, this is what I am. But I don't usually sit and look at myself and reminisce about something, you know. You know, to be frank with you, I've been just about everything bad you can be in this world, except for a murderer and like a rapist or something like that. But I've been a drug addict. I've been homeless. I've gotten in a lot of trouble with the law when I was younger. I've done everything. And I've done everything good, too. And I'm starting to realize in life that it just doesn't matter, and you need to live your life, you know.